Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Blu Ray Hunter. I'm the Blu Ray Hunter, Jonathan Moody, and it's time for a little Blu Ray Hunter movie reviews. So we're here to talk about A Night at the Opera, another one of my Warner Brothers dis was it the Archives movie, and let's just say I was pleasantly surprised. A lot of people claim like Duck Soup, and some people claim this movie as the best Marx Brothers movie. Having seen Duck Soup and now this only once each, all I can say is right now I like this one a little bit better. I am not a big fan of the opera. Let's just get that straight. I am not a big fan of the opera. I do not find the opera interesting. I don't think this music sounds any better than anything else. I'm just not a big fan. However, this movie did make me interested in the opera a little bit. Just like the shenanigans that go on in this movie is obviously nothing like that would actually happen in the opera, but it maybe it was. I don't know. I don't know too much about the opera itself, but I do know that I had a really, really good time and I was pleasantly surprised. I had no idea this was going to be so much fun. And I was, yeah, like I said, I was pleasantly surprised. So having watched Duck Soup, my biggest problem with Duck Soup is the ending, the final act of Duck Soup. Got to the war stuff, and for some reason, I just was not laughing. Now, I know a lot of people have said this too, and they're like, "Oh, well, you don't understand the history of that war and all the stuff," and I don't. So I totally get that, and maybe if I were more of a history buff or I knew more about that stuff, I would have been it would have been more fun for me. That wasn't the case. This movie was fun because even though I didn't understand anything about opera, I don't think I needed to. It wasn't meant to be like that. I think the best part of this movie is just the shenanigans that the all three of the four or five Marx Brothers. Now, I looked into something and I found out that there was actually a fifth Marx Brother who I think died early or something. So he wasn't in many of the newer ones that they're more famous for. And Zeppo was not in this one. And so that was interesting that they didn't have Zeppo Marx in this actual movie. They only had three. So they had Groucho, Chico, and Harpo. Harpo's the silent one. I made kind of made a post the other day about the fact that Harpo Marx could be played in a biopic by Teller. They look very much alike, and both of them don't talk. So I thought, that would be pretty cool. The movie itself, basically, let me read you the back of the thing, so I don't have to summarize by my like brain. Arts patron Mrs. Claypool, played by Margaret Dumont, who is in Duck Soup and many of the other movies. A lot of people have called her an honorary Marx Brother because she's been in a bunch of them, intends to pay pompous opera star Las Paris $1,000 per performance. Hey, maybe that's why they call it the Grand Opera. This is a grand comedy too, as Groucho, Chico, and Harpo cram a ship's stateroom, and more with wall-to-wall gags, one-liners, musical riffs, and two hard-boiled eggs. Those are pretty funny. Two hard-boiled eggs, and woof, three. Make that three. All while skewering Les Party's schemes and helping two young hopefuls, Kitty Carlisle and Alan Jones, get a big break. To save the opera, our heroes must first destroy it. They must also gain ocean passage as stowaways, pull the wool, if not beards, over the eyes of the city hall, shred legal mumbo jumbo down to a sanity clause, pester Duerge, Claypool, and unleash so much glee that many say this is the best Marx Brother movie. Seeing is believing. By the way, this comes with commentary by Leonard Maltin. I grew up on Leonard Maltin. I used to read his books all the time. The all the he's watched like almost every movie. I don't know if he still has or whatever. Wonder if Scary Story Slumber Party would be in his updated one. You'd probably get a bomb. Ugh. I always loved like reading this stuff and seeing all the bombs and other stuff that he said, and and whatnot about about the movies. Leonard Maltin was one of my favorite guys, so I actually listened to a few of the commentary, and he was very interesting. He actually did fix an issue that I had with the movie, in my brain. So in the movie, there's a really bad editing job. It like will edit cuts really weirdly. Now I thought, oh, this was just bad editing back in the day. Maybe I found out a little bit more that there was actually other scenes that were cut from the movie. I don't remember the reason why. Leonard Maltin does describe it. He goes into big detail into it. But he had this big issue with it, and or there's this big issue in the movie, and it was amazing to hear his commentary. He had so much stuff to say. He had knowledge. He was a fantastic historian to do a and one day I want to listen to the whole one because I really, really enjoyed what I heard. But what was most interesting was him just talking about the movie, the making of, and things like that. So, and the movie itself was very entertaining. There was a lot of like one-liners. Everything kind of came quickly. I mean, starting from like the beginning where you see Groucho and Miss Claypool. Miss Claypool's waiting for Groucho's character. Otis B. Driftwood. You might know another Otis B. Driftwood that's in the Rob Zombies movies like House of Thousand Corpses, The Devil's Rejects, played by Bill Moseley. That is a reference. He uses a lot of Groucho's characters as characters for his film. So there's Otis, there's Rufus T. Firefly, and there's also Captain Spaulding. I'm sure there's more. So Rob Zombie definitely is a big Marx Brothers fan, which, kind of makes me happy to know that. Like a horror guy just loves these silly Marx Brothers movies and he's the first one, I think, to just take, the Marx Brothers and character names and makes his own characters based on that. So, if you're a big Marx Brothers fan, you'll like it. And if you're not a big Marx Brothers fan, you may never even know. Like, if you've never seen a Marx Brothers movie, you may never know that Otis B. Driftwood is an actual character in this movie. So, but yeah, it was interesting. I like I said, the only thing I wasn't a fan of was the music, because they did do a lot with the opera stuff. And once again, I'm not really a big fan of the opera. So I understand watching a movie called The Night of the Opera. I'm gonna see stuff about the opera. It's just gonna happen. Like there's no way around that. And I'm okay with that. Like I was okay. As long as I could watch, other stuff or whatever. And the Marx Brothers be silly most of the time. And that's what they were. They were silly most of the time. So it didn't bother me. My favorite scene, and I don't think a lot of people have talked about this in different things, but my favorite scene is there's a police officer that's looking for Otis, and he's looking for the other guys too. And there's like four beds in one of the rooms, and so the guy would go around, and it just becomes this like vaudeville type act where they're just like grabbing the bed and bringing it into the other room. Everything confusing the hell out of the cop's like, wait a minute, there was a bed in here. Why is it over here? And like, and then they go back around, and it's just so silly and so goofy. By the end of it, they put like beards on, fake beards on, or whatever, and confuse the guy, and he's just like, oh, never mind, I'm in the wrong room, and it just ends on that. Um, so a lot of the scenes felt like little sketches that they just, you know, um, I don't know how I don't know if this is how it was done, but I imagine that they were just like, okay, let's make a movie about the opera, and then let's put all these different skits in here. The other one I really liked is the contracts, where they're just like, oh, I don't like that one. Let's just rip it. And then they ripped it until it's like basically this tiny. And and then he's like, oh, this is a sanity clause. Oh, there's no such, oh, you don't can't fool me. There's no such thing as Santa Claus. Santa Claus. So it's really silly. It's goofy. It's funny. I liked it. I enjoyed it. There was some really good riffs and good stuff in the whole movie. Um, I I think my biggest problem with the movies is um they're so good at doing like shorts or something that I feel like a lot of their features even feel like they could be just shorts, instead. That might have been better, but I still enjoyed it a lot. I definitely um, so a lot of people wonder, like, if I don't like a movie, am I going to keep it in my collection? Or if I kind of like a movie or whatever, am I going to keep? I'm going to keep everything in my collection. I'm trying not to give anything away unless I upgrade it to 4K and I have a Blu-ray with that 4K. So say I upgrade it to 4K, but I don't have a Blu-ray, I will not get rid of the Blu-ray of it. But this movie, I don't know. I honestly don't see the Warner Brothers archives going into 4K, just because the people who run it are basically now Warner Brothers Discovery, and I'm even surprised they're still doing stuff with this because this doesn't seem like the stuff that they even have any interest in whatsoever. Um, David Zaslav and all of them, they're more interested right now in the DC properties and the other properties, Harry Potter, all the properties that they own right now. So I think they're not interested in that. But anywho, I really did dig it. I dug this guy right here. Um, I thought he was hilarious. You know, it's sort of funny because in a way I sort of felt bad for him being involved with Groucho and his crazy crew. But he was the bad guy. You're supposed to be rooting against him and rooting for the Marx Brothers to win. It's just, yeah. So, but if you haven't seen a Marx Brothers movie, I'd probably recommend this before I'd recommend Duck Soup myself, but other people would definitely recommend Duck Soup first. So if you watch either one of those first, that's great. I also want to see A Day at the Races, which I think is coming to Blu-ray for Warner Brothers Archives. I could be wrong, but I think I saw something about that, so it might be in February that's coming out, which would be whatever. So coming up. But anyway, so this is my Warner Brothers Archives reviews. I've got one more left. So it'll be the last um Monday in January, and then I'm gonna move on to another group of movies. So after this one, I will be doing another group of uh another studio. Not sure who yet. I have a feeling I know who, but don't quote me on it yet because I haven't fully decided. So then I'll do like four reviews of those and four reviews of the next, well, next, and maybe it might not even be a studio. I might decide to do like westerns or movies, Orson Welles films or something like that, where I'm doing a whole month full of those. But we'll see. Um, I'm very happy to be doing this. I just love watching movies that I haven't seen that are in my collection, so I can say I've seen them. So yeah. If you guys enjoyed this, let me know. If you didn't enjoy it, also let me know. If there's something that I missed that you guys want to mention, please do. I try to keep these as short as possible because nobody wants to see me just chit chat for like 20, 30 minutes. It's kind of boring to me. So I just want to keep this short and sweet and to the point. And I think this movie is really good. I would definitely rate it up high. I think it's fantastic. So if you haven't seen it, definitely go check it out. Until then, everybody, bye.